How founders can be rid of hope and luck in sales. Hi, Patrick here from the Revenue Academy. This episode is part of our People series and is episode number 4. So let's get started. You've heard this one hundreds of times. Hope is not a strategy. Lucky is something that you get, but it's not repeatable. Some may suggest that you create your own luck, which I personally believe actually, but it comes from a disciplined process. It's this natural law of cause and effect. Lucky is an effect. The cause is obviously the graft that you put in and the other activities that you do on a daily basis to create that lucky environment. I'm going to go through a formulaic approach that I've found works so you no longer have to rely on hope and luck. So imagine landing a large contract for your business, which would encourage your investors for sure to ask you, when are more deals like that going to land? And you say, when we get lucky again. So it's not exactly reassuring. So let's dig into this formula of hypothesis plus action equals results, which leads into iterate into a new hypothesis, and then you go again. So first, we start with a hypothesis. What we think is going to happen if we release a product or service into the marketplace. Given the conditions we set up, so our offer, our audience, our price point, our big claim, we hypothesize that a certain set of results are going to happen. So once the theory and the strategy is done around this part, we then take massive action and execute on this strategy, experimenting to get meaningful results. As part of the results process, we must compare what we thought was going to happen next to what actually happens. So once the results are gathered, what we see is that we immediately are made aware of where we can iterate and finesse, only changing and testing one variable at a time and keeping everything else constant. So we may decide to change our wording in the offer, but keeping everything else the same, or change the price point and keeping everything else the same, or changing whatever variable that we wanted, making sure that only one thing changes and everything else is constant in order to identify the thing that's going to make a material impact. So armed with these iterations, we repeat this cycle and go again and keep this whole feedback loop going. The reason I'm going through this is because when you first looked at this video, you thought that the way to be rid of hope and luck is to have a sales process, which is true, but you need data in order to form and refine a process around. And this approach at the very early stage gets you where you need to get to before you can start building out your process, having 7 different stages and all that kind of thing. Because what I see is businesses and specifically founders saying, well, this particular business has a 9-stage sales process. That's the one we need to do. So I'm just going to put a sales process in place of what I think is going to be, with the taxonomy of the stages being a total carbon copy. But actually a sales process is specific to an individual business. And it comes through having gone through this formula that I went through a few times and figuring out what the right process is for your business. So for all of these approaches, the person doing it is critical. And this is why this video is in our People series, because this particular person has to be documenting the process that they're going through in terms of the hypothesis, the action, the results, the feedback, the iteration, the go again with a new hypothesis, in order to get things captured. What will happen if you do this is that you will run the process a few times and the improvement areas will be obvious, and then the sales process will start to take shape. So at your stage of business, the onus will be on you as a founder. So I encourage you to start bringing together a Google Doc or something similar, which is V1 of your go-to-market playbook, and getting these things down, as in what you're doing at a particular point, the activities that you're completing. So trust me, when it comes to scaling, gathering investment and moving away from founder-led sales, your sales process will be one of the first documents new recruits will ask to see. And if you do this now, you'll be in the position to provide. So that wraps up today's video. Remember, we create these videos a lot to help our founders and run these mini series on all the key pillars of scaling B2B tech startups. So if you haven't seen the other videos in this People series or the other series at all, please check them out. And also don't forget to join our community with the link below, where you'll see all this content and get to interact with many like-minded founders as well. So I'll see you in there.